Howdy, everybody. Excited to be here. All right, so we're going to talk about reducing cost to acquire through marketing. If this talk was a year ago or a year and a half ago, I'd be all up here talking about how you can grow as fast as possible, growth at all costs, like we've done for Loom and Dropbox and Calm and Product Board and a bunch of Andreessen and Sequoia-backed companies. But that's not the time. The time is 2023. And we are talking about efficiency, because it turns out now that's very important. So my goal, if I don't accomplish this, actually, let's change it. If I don't accomplish this, by the end of the talk, you should feel confident that you know exactly how to reduce marketing attributed cost to acquire by, call it 25 to 50%, or double your pipeline available for paid because you just increased your efficiency. Or my real goal is actually to make your CFO cry tears of joy because of how efficient your marketing org is. And so if I don't accomplish that by the end, come kick me in the shins and tell me I did a bad job. But we're going to do our best. So with that, I'd like to start off with a stat that I think most of us know. And that stat is that marketing executives today last like 12 to 18 months on average in their role. It's probably not too surprising. I think most of us know that stat. But it sucks for everybody, right? It's not great for the marketing exec whether they left on their own, whether they were kicked out. That's not fun. But also on the other side, on the company side, it means starting from scratch. It means you just invested 12, 18, 24 months into someone who didn't work out. And now you have to find a new person, give them 3 to 6 months to ramp, and hope that you made a good bet, and then wait another 12, 18, whatever months, you're like, yes, we made the right bet, or shit, we have to start all over again. So that's not good for either party. So let's unpack why that is, and I promise we're going to get to demand efficiency and how to reduce CAC as a result. So the first problem is really obvious. It's that marketing has always been a black box, right? You have to trust the marketer's gut. You have to trust your executive. And that is easy to do when they come from a prior success. Everything's going well, and then until it isn't. So that's scary for both parties. Expectations, this is fixed. We can't change that. So the only thing that we can do is try to unpack the black box and make it, lift it off. So let's talk about, where does this pressure come from? It comes from the CFO, right? This is one of the roles. CFO, in the past, if this was 2021, or 2020 even, CFO would be whispering over the shoulder of the marketer saying, hey, can you give me some projections? I'd love to know how this is going to work out. Forecast. Now, 2023, the CFO is fully straddled up on the shoulder of the CMO. They're like, hey, let's cut some headcount. All right, your budget, gone. Let's go. It's different, right? So now it's really, really intense between the CFO and the CMO. CEO wants something different. CEO is looking for insight. They want a sense of control. So they're like, hey, let me into the black box. Tell me what you're doing. CEO starts to backseat drive a little bit in times like this, even though they shouldn't, but they can't help it. They want to feel like they're in control. So this is the pressure that the revenue leader, the CMO in this case, is feeling, is working with. And so in the meantime, they have to rely on their relationship equity. So it's clear in times, especially in times like these, that we need some sort of leading indicator, some sort of North Star metric that the entire revenue team, not just the CMO, but the entire revenue team boardroom can align around, that gives us directional insight as to whether or not we're heading in the right direction before it shakes down to the P&L, before you're sitting there 14 months in the boardroom having a conversation about how things didn't work or how they did. And so that's what we set up to accomplish. Before I go into these details, I'd love to know in the audience, how many of you here are part of a revenue team or founder at a seed or Series A company? Awesome. How about Series B through pre-IPO? Excellent. Very cool. And how many of you are in finance? Yes. All right, cool. I'm hoping for tears later of joy. So, cool. Let's talk about, how do we remove the black box? How do we get to a place where we can objectively measure and predict? I think in order to do that, we need to first say, why does this black box exist in the first place? What is the black box really? It's marketing gut, it's experience, it's the data that we've seen as an individual marketer having gone company to company to company. The unique position, and the reason why I'm up here on this stage is because rather than being in a role as a marketing executive for 12 to 18 months and then going to the next company and having these growth stints, through my marketing agency, Mattermade, we work with 10 companies a year. I used to say unicorns, now that's a bad word, but it used to be 10 unicorns a year. And so our ability to pattern match and see data and really understand what works and what doesn't and where the shortcuts are, if and when they do exist, is pretty unparalleled. And so I think if there's any group that's well-positioned to take the black box off on marketing and really explain it and make it objective for other leaders, it's us. So we decided to do that. When the market took a shit, I said, you know what, this is our secret sauce, but there are a lot of companies out there who need the secret sauce right now, and I'd rather just give it away and add some value to the market. People that want to come work with us will come work with us, and the people who need it and don't have the budget, at least we give them something. So we decided to take the black box off of marketing and open source our secret sauce. How do we do that? So normally we'd work through this very lengthy kind of detail looking, show us all your weak spots to answer all these questions, really uncomfortable process and probing. And then we take that and compare it to our data sets across all of our clients. And then we'd put that through our gut, right? The black box part. And I realized that this could all be mapped. It's a lot of if-then stuff. It's not impossible. It just takes time. And marketers are good at marketing. I actually come from a product background. Like I was a SaaS founder, sold my company in 2014. And so I was like, hey, what if I put this through the product mind and try to make it very if-then and unbox it? So that's what we did. We came up with the demand efficiency framework. So why is this different? Why is this a different way to look at marketing? If I was giving a normal talk on marketing right now, I'd be talking about demand capture, demand creation. This is like the PLG of marketing, right? They were the big, exciting levers. And it makes sense that these are the things that we're talking about, right? Because they are the fun things. This is where budget is. This is where the splashy campaign that the CEO wants to see in market that TechCrunch covers. Like these are the fun things. But we have to ask ourselves, at what cost are we only focusing on demand capture and demand creation, or primarily focusing on demand capture and demand creation? If you think about a buyer journey, there are many, many points in that buyer journey that end up getting ignored. I call these microsurfaces. These could be really, really small moments in the journey. They could be minute details. They almost always seem like nice-to-haves. When your team's prioritizing your sprints, when you're looking at what are we going to get done this quarter, what are we going to get done this month, what are we going to sprint on this week, these are the things that have been on your list, but they just keep getting kicked down the road. They're never quite important enough to focus on. But when you have hundreds of these, or even if you have 20 of them, 50 of them, whatever it is, and if each one of these points can be approved in the buyer journey and drive 0.5%, 1%, 2% conversion increase in your buyer journey, now for the mathy people in the room, we have a tremendous opportunity. This is where we cut our cost to acquire in half, or 25% less, whatever it is. And so this is that opportunity that I talked about. You could cut the cost to acquire. You could double your pipeline budget for paid because you're that much more effective. Or the real thing we're going for is to make the CFO cry tears of joy. Finance people, here you go. So let's talk about the other values here. If we now have an objective KPI, the demand efficiency score, that you can figure out where you stand and see directionally where you're going, now we can compare ourselves against our industry peers and understand, like, where are we relative to where we should be? Where do we stand compared to other Series A or Series B companies? Where do we stand based on folks in our industry? Where do we stand against other product-led companies as opposed to enterprise selling motions, sales-led? So if you go to our site, mattermade.co, you can see the full benchmark. This is opt-in, so only executives who have said they want to be on the site have been there, have gone there. However, I mean, we've had executives, CMOs at Box, CMOs at 6 Sense, Webflow, the list kind of goes on, Mutiny, where they've taken the evaluation to see where are these blind spots, where are these microsurfaces, where are these areas of opportunity to reduce CAC through marketing. Where are they? What are the levers? Let's talk about that. So at a high level, these are the categories. Product levers, revenue orchestration, customer focus, tofu through bofu, experimentation, messaging alignment, retention, expansion. So these are both cultural pillars and actual levers and swim lanes to play with. I think one of the really interesting pieces here that I wasn't necessarily expecting when you think of the CMO at Webflow or CMO at 6 Sense, these are very, very seasoned CMOs. They don't need the demand efficiency framework to tell them what to focus on. And yet, the feedback from them has been, these are all the nice to haves that we've kicked down the road. So some of them, many of them. And it's so nice to see them in one place where my team can actually rally and say, shit, let's block these 5 off, put them into a sprint, and we're going to increase our middle of funnel conversion or whatever it is, depending on the lever you choose to work on. And we know that this is going to directionally reduce our cost to acquire, and we don't have to wait until the board meeting to find out if it did or not, right? So this gives us a measurable path forward. This gives us an opportunity to level the playing field between the revenue executives, to take a bit of pressure off of marketing, not because we want to take pressure off, but it's artificial pressure. It doesn't need to be pressure. It's only pressure because it's a black box today. So I'm going to put up a QR code on the screen. You won't want to take this now. It takes like 10 to 15 minutes, but it's the demand efficiency evaluation. And when you bookmark it and come back to it later, this will actually spit out prescriptively specific initiatives, tactics that you can use and deploy and put into a sprint tomorrow. This isn't high-level theory. This isn't directionally, generally work on middle of funnel stuff. This is like, go do these 5 things, and you will reduce cost to acquire as soon as you're done with that. And then you can benchmark yourself over and over again and report up and show how you're improving over time. So with that, I will jump to Q&A. I don't know how Q&A works.
Thanks, Eli. Great presentation. One of the things that we always struggled with was really aligning around the metrics. Have you found a good way to get people aligned around like a single source of truth? Because I love getting there and then being able to look at those levers, but it's the CFO, the CEO, and the CMO are all saying the different things. How have you guys dealt with that? Or you see that a lot?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Nick. So I think the first challenge here is that you have execs coming from different swim lanes, and they each want a different metric generally, and that's the problem. My personal belief and what we coached when we were working with companies is that we should all align around revenue, period. We need to be swimming in the same direction. And if you allow marketing to go off and be like, all we care about is opportunities created that sales gives a thumbs up and like everything else should be sales job from there, it means that marketing is allowed to jump off the boat and they're like, job well done, I'm going to swim back to shore and go get more ops. But that's wrong because there's so much to be learned from the point that sales has taken over. There's ideas that will come up for campaigns that can help grease the process and speed up time to close because of the things that are going on in that sales conversation. That's where some of our best, sales and CS are where marketing should be getting some of their best ideas for campaign work. So yeah, I would say just aligning teams around revenue, period. They can still have some supporting metrics that are just like this one, for example, that are directionally interesting, but they shouldn't be allowed to hang their hat on them. Other questions?
Cool. Anybody else? We good? Everybody happy? All right, thumbs up. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, man. Great. Oh, you're going to exit this way. Thank you. High five.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Awesome.